Here we are, Palazzo Grassi opens with a beautiful exhibition all dedicated to the light. And we have here Caroline Bourgeois. What is the meaning of this exhibition? As we are in one of the beautiful installations that you are going to explain us.
So here we're in the installation of Yan Vo, who's an artist coming from Vietnam, living in Berlin now, and who plays with the history of colonialism as well as the history of the war, the Vietnam War, with 4 different elements. And he erased the white walls, which are usually on the Palazzo Grassi, so you also have a view on the history of the building itself. And then there is those curtains with the details of flowers, which were discovered by the missionaries who tried to evangelize the Vietnamese people. And you have a picture of them that he found in Paris, like here. And this one was condemned to death by the Vietnamese people, and he refound the letter of that he sent to his father the day before he was murdered and killed. There's also an element by someone who was a high person in the army who came every year to Vietnam to help the army down there, and who was gay and took pictures of the daily life in Vietnam with a very humanistic sense with the lens, and it gives a reflection about the gay problems because that person was fired from the army, and also to an attention to that kind of love for the others. And the last element is a picture of Danvaux himself, which is a passport, because when they arrived as boat people, they had no clothes, so he picked up himself at 5, the dress of a girl. And it's a beautiful little picture, but also speaking about the gay community, minority, and with the problems, as well as he found a letter from the Department of Correction of the state of Delaware, where they explain how to hang someone, because the death condemnation are still existing in the States, so how to well perform that. And there's an echo just these 2 times in between the judgment with the priests, as well as today in the States, how they kill people. So he raised point from the history for how contemporary they are still existing. And the show in general, it's with artists using the light properly, like the Doug Weller installation in the atrium, which was it's a kind of science-specific work made with the idea of the infinite, which remembers the fog in Venezia when you are all in the white. Other artists using the light as a proper material, like Dan Flavin, with an homage to Tatlin, or Barbara Irwin, or Julio Leblanc, which is also a fantastic work from the Cinetic period, where you see the lights moving all the time. But I wanted also to introduce the need of the lights and what light means in a more philosophical word. So obviously against the death and the black. So there is an echo with Marcel Potters and Gilbert and George about the death. How the black can give light on the subject, like with Troy Brown touch, and you show a prisoner draw on the canvas. As here the white rays, there's also a general idea with the white paintings about AIDS, for example. There's also a classic or traditional painting by the baby of the exhibition called Claire Tabouret, who make a reference to the Paolo Cello battle, which is in Firenze, and also make a kind of reference to the history of art with the light in painting, which is the subject in Renaissance. But light has been a subject in all the art world for a long time, and this is a way to have the different approach.
And are there any other works of art apart from these than who made expressly, I think, for Palazzo Grassi, made as usually you traditionally have in Palazzo Grassi artists working for the Palazzo, for some rooms in the Palazzo?
So there is, of course, Yan Vo here, the Doug Weller in the atrium, the Latifa Ishkash with the Blue Room, which is about the Arab Spring and how we cannot define what happened. We have to leave time to a revolution to succeed in a way. And also the Claire Tabouret, which was made for the show. The rest rest of the works are works in the collection. I mean, Tifa too, but we had to change the scale because of the room of the Palazzo. But the rest were works here. But for example, the Bruce Corner normally is in a black box room, and because of the beauty of the windows inside the Palazzo, we agreed with the estates that it could be open so you can see all around, to work with the traverse, the way you see one room from another room.
And another very interesting thing in this exhibition, apart from the relevance of light or lack of light, or light as enlightenment, divine, is something that starts from the beginning of time. So what is fascinating in this kind of exhibition? Of course, we have not to find out everything about light, but still there are something that reclaims this in the exhibition.
Well, I think the subject of light is a subject of ever, but it's also something which challenges time, and I think any artist is going to challenge time, and I try to give a lot of angles about the subject, but it's an infinite subject. There's another show about light in Venice at the Guggenheim, which is very nice, but very, very different than this one. So it shows how deep it could be, and with the meaning of enlightenment, it could be an inside enlightenment, like in the Della installation, or it could be an enlightenment on the subject, like when it's more political, like the atomic bomb, or like even on the history of art, with the room, with Hélène Sturtevant and with Bertrand Lallier, when they play with the role of the black stela in the art history, which is the moment when the Americans took over Europe in terms of power with art.
And then another thing, black and white, of course, but a lot of blue.
Black and white, like I'm dressed
Like
today.
you.
It's obviously the question of light, but the blue is also well, in the room of Latifa, it's because of the stencil, and the stencil were used to produce tracts and all that, so to convince for manifestation in a way. But the blue is also the color that you use on movies to make the back, and then you can add whatever you want on that blue. It's a trick of the TV sets, for example. And light is also all the colors, like in the rainbow by Lydia Castandon. But any rainbow, everyone knows, we go through all the colors, so the light can be all the colors.
And then when we go upstairs, the second floor, a splendid exhibition all devoted to Irving Penn. That are photos of all his career. It marks a kind of continuing from downstairs upstairs.
So when we designed those two shows, we thought it would be a nice link with the light, because photograph doesn't exist without light. And Irving Penn especially is redoing all his prints. He works his prints nearly as a painter. None of the prints are the same. And he started to do those black and white photographic objects 20 years after they were published in the magazines. And in the show you see all the question of the printing of the photo in Irving Penn's work, as well as all the subject from fashion, vanity, the petit métier, the small workers, which is fantastic, I think, as well as some tribes which disappear today. So also a question of how to keep memory.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.